Welcome back. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says that the House will likely deal with the debt ceiling next week and that the Senate will do so after that. This is the House Freedom Caucus is taking an official position on debt ceiling negotiations, saying in a statement, quote, the U.S. House of Representatives has done its job. There should be no further discussion until the Senate passes the legislation. Joining me right now is Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. He's a member of the Armed Services, Judiciary, Joint Economic and Intelligence Committees. He is also the author of the book, Only the Strong. Senator, it's good to have you back. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
Good to be back on with you, Maria. Thank you.
So what is Chuck Schumer saying that the House is going to deal with the debt next week? The House already passed a bill.
Maria, that's a good point. If Chuck Schumer had wanted to address our debt ceiling and try to control Washington's runaway spending, he could have brought up the House bill any time in the last month. That bill raises the debt ceiling in a responsible fashion by reducing spending by almost $5 trillion over the next 10 years. Yet he's refused to even bring it up. At the same time, he refuses to bring up his preferred solution, which is a debt ceiling with no reforms whatsoever. So he should stop complaining and start acting. And at a minimum, I'm glad that he's no longer in the room negotiating with Kevin McCarthy and Joe Biden, because it's been clear all along that it was going to be the Speaker and the President who had to come to a deal. Chuck Schumer is simply there running interference for Joe Biden, trying to causing problems and delaying this longer than it had to be.
You know, people are really sick of these games, Senator. You know, I mean, look, we are just a few weeks away from the country apparently running out of money, and we're still looking at, who's going to get the political win here.
Yeah, Maria, that's right. I mean, since November, it's been clear that Joe Biden, in the end, would have to negotiate a debt ceiling increase with Kevin McCarthy, and that there was no chance that we would have an increase without any reforms attached to it. Speaker McCarthy and House Republicans did an excellent job of passing a bill that raised the debt ceiling in a responsible fashion with genuine spending reforms. Joe Biden refused in a very stubborn way for months to even sit down and negotiate with Kevin McCarthy. So where we are today could have been where we were, say, in February or March if Joe Biden had simply acknowledged that the American people elected Republicans to the House last November to put the brakes on the runaway spending in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, even as we speak, you've got some House Democrats doing a workaround Kevin McCarthy, right? They want to get a clean debt ceiling bill through. They've got 210 votes apparently already. But I want to move on to the president's judicial nominees. The president's nominee, Michael Delaney, withdrew his nomination yesterday, as you know, after he failed to get the votes. He didn't even get the support he needed from Democrats. What's behind this, Senator?
Well, Maria, a lot of Democrats have expressed their doubts about Mr. Delaney because he engaged in some hardball and somewhat unsavory tactics as a lawyer in a sexual assault case. But, Maria, I got to tell you, from the inside, that's really just a pretext. Many of these Democrats opposed Mr. Delaney's nomination because they viewed him as not radical and extreme enough on their issues. God. What's really scandalous here is not that Joe Biden nominated someone who had engaged in these practices in a lawsuit as a private lawyer. It's that the Democrats continue to rubber stamp the extreme ideologues and unfit candidates for the courts and for the Department of Justice. Just this week, Maria, we had the resignation of Rachel Rollins in disgrace, a U.S. attorney in Boston, who I and other Republican senators warned about 18 months ago, that she was not just a radical pro-criminal source prosecutor, but she had a long history of bad judgment and ethical lapses. And this week, both the Inspector General and the Office of Special Counsel released shocking reports that described criminal conduct and some of the most egregious ethical lapses they've ever seen. Yet every Democrat voted for that nominee in lockstep, even though we were warning them at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And also shocking is what we saw from the Durham report. I mean, we're not shocked. We knew that there was a complete lie, and they pursued FISA warrants against ordinary citizens anyway, just because they were attached to Donald Trump. But I was really perturbed when I saw the Durham report and what it said about the FBI telling underlings to report their findings on Trump orally. Okay, don't write anything down. Just tell us what you find out orally. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of rot and corruption at the senior reaches of the Department of Justice and the FBI. You're right, Maria, the Durham report, very thorough, but also mostly confirms what we already knew. And you're also right that the Department of Justice has pursued almost anyone who came within 10 feet of Donald Trump. What were the charges in many of those cases? Like Mike Flynn, they were charges of lying to investigators. What was Rachel Rollins doing to the Inspector General? She was accused of lying to investigators. And the Inspector General referred her to Merrick Garland, the Attorney General for prosecution. He took only 3 weeks to decline to prosecute her. And 2 of those weeks happened over Christmas and New Year's. It's another example, Maria, of the politicized nature of this Department of Justice. If you're a Republican and you're disfavored, you'll be targeted. If you're a Democrat, you'll be protected.
Yeah, and we saw that play out with Hillary Clinton as well. All the while they're investigating Donald Trump and they're shutting down investigations of Hillary Clinton. It's just incredible. Senator, I want to get your take on the COVID situation because you and your leadership has been so important here. You were the first one to come on this program and say there's unlikely that this was natural. The COVID-19 came from the Wuhan lab. Now you're warning schools might mandate kids receiving the COVID vaccine following new Biden administration guidelines. You're looking to see if Congress can do anything to stop it. Are you suggesting that we could see a mandate for a COVID vaccine, a new mandate in schools for kids now?
Yeah, Maria, unfortunately, that's exactly what I'm afraid the Biden administration is trying to backdoor through the CDC's recent recommendation that the COVID vaccine be added to childhood vaccination schedules. Now, they claim that's not mandatory, but in many states, they just take the CDC recommendations and implement them as a matter of law. That would mean that states would be requiring kids to get the COVID vaccine, a vaccine that we know now is proven not to be effective, and it's not even needed in children who aren't especially vulnerable to COVID. This is not like measles or mumps, not a vaccine that's based on decades of science and proven to work. But I think the Biden administration, through its CDC recommendation, is trying to impose a backdoor mandate on children across America. That's why I've asked for a review of this regulation, and I hope to bring it up in the Congress to vote it down. We voted down other regulations of Joe Biden's. He's signed them on occasion when the political heat is too high to include regulations related to COVID. I think we have a vote in Congress. We'll pass it, and that Joe Biden will probably sign it because even though they're trying to do it under the radar, when it's exposed to the light of day, they won't take responsibility for it.
Well, this is very disturbing, especially with the stories that we've seen about negative reactions by some to the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, Maria, again, COVID almost uniquely is not targeting children. We saw that throughout the pandemic. It's one thing if you're elderly or infirm or have other risk factors, but to mandate through the back door that children take a vaccine that is proven not to be effective in stopping the spread of this virus and for which they're not especially vulnerable is putting politics over science.
So why are they doing this, though, Senator? I mean, is this just about power? Why? Why force this?
Well, I think a segment of liberals in America, the base of the Democratic Party, are still obsessive neurotics when it comes to COVID. Again, I don't fault anyone for taking this virus very serious in the early days when China had concealed all of the data about it. And I was hopeful that the vaccines would be better at stopping the spread of this virus as well. But when it proved they were not, there was no reason to continue to shut businesses down or prevent people from earning their livelihood or now trying to stop children from going to school if they haven't had this vaccine.
All right, we will leave it there. Senator, always a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Maria.